So in this segment, we're going to be talking about the absolute melting, of the Tory rebellion. Despite two resignations yesterday from Gullis and Lee Anderson, what did they achieve? Absolutely nothing, because they still voted for this bill like a bunch of cowards. You know, they talked about how the bill wouldn't work without these amendments, and they still voted it through. That's cowardly moves. Beth Rigby reporting that asked Rebel sources if the MPs in the room are very unhappy, dislike the bill and the government's handling, and don't think it will work. Why are they voting for it? They said because they don't want to bring the government down, which is interesting because many, including Gullis, have said they don't think it's a vote of no confidence issue. But it kind of would be if Sunak can't get this kind of bill through, given how much he's harped on about it. You know, all he's talked about is stop the votes, stop the votes, stop the votes. It's one of his key promises in his in his 5 pledges that he made last year. That's all he talked about. And then in the end, the rebellion was 11 Tory MPs voted against it. You got Braverman, William Cash, Miriam Gates, Simon Clarke, Sarah Dines. These sound like fake names. John Dudderidge, Mark Francois, Mr. Frenchy, Andrea Jenkins, Robert Janrick, David Jones, and Danny Kruger. So 11 in the end. I thought it would have been much higher. I thought it would have been potentially 30 odd, given the big talk they were given. But this is going to embolden Sunak to an extent, because he's going to think these guys are a bunch of jokers. They got nothing. They're not going to do something. They're all vocal. They're all talk, no action. Because the difference between now and when Theresa May was in charge is, I think 11 votes would have sunk her. 11 votes would have sunk her when it came to crunch votes, but Sunak's got a bigger majority than that. So it's going to be very rare that he loses. I think he did lose something over the tainted blood scandal, but I think that's about it. He's not lost a lot of major votes because the majority is too big. Here we've got 30p Lee being an absolute snowflake.
Last night I resigned as a deputy chairman of the Conservative Party. That was a difficult decision, but I think the right thing to do. Tonight I was going to vote no. I went into the no lobby to vote no because I couldn't see how I could support the bill after backing all the amendments. I got into the no lobby. I spent about 2 or 3 minutes with a colleague in there. The Labour lot was all giggling and laughing and taking the mick, and I couldn't do it in my heart of hearts. I could not vote no, so I walked.
You could have abstained, you doofus. Abstention is on the card. You could just abstain from it and said, look, I don't believe in this bill, but I'm not going to vote against it. That would have been a classic May move, Theresa May, but you could have abstained. So, this argument of, well, I was going to do it, but then people laughed at me, so I couldn't do it. Snowflake.
Out and come out, so I've abstained. I wanted to vote no, but when I saw that lot in there laughing, there's no way I could.
People laughed at me, therefore my political principles changed.
Support them above the party that's given me a political home. So I hope the bill succeeds. I've got my reservations, Chopper. It's upset me.
You resigned over government to vote for an amendment that was never going to pass. This is absolutely so stupid. You knew that the amendment wasn't going to pass. You resigned from the party to vote. I think you resigned as deputy chair to vote for it. And then the best he's come up with, I voted for the bill anyways because people laughed at me. Pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. Apparently, despite riding high from the victory, there's apparently more letters of no confidence that have been submitted, which is kind of funny, to be honest. There's more here, Victoria Derbyshire picking apart Jacob Rees-Mogg over the effectiveness of the bill.
But in the end, you voted for a bill that you have already told people will not work.
This is completely consistent because it has yes, because compared to where we were when we had the judgment from the Supreme Court, which we knew couldn't work. So what I've said is
you passed legislation that you wasted parliamentary time on a vote where you knew you were going to lose and the court would strike out. That's shameful. That is. What a waste of parliamentary time and taxpayers' money.
An expression of opinion, from the fact of something that wouldn't work to an opinion that I think this is less likely to work than an amended bill, to a bill that I hope will work, but it's better than remaining with the status quo. Okay. That must be sensible. And
do you think this bill will now suddenly stop the boats then?
I don't think it will work speedily because I think we will have more appeals.
Will it stop the boats?
It depends on your time frame. I think it's... if you're talking
about dancing around these questions
between now and a general election, I think it is unlikely we will see flights going before an election.
Will it stop the boats?
If flights go, it will stop the boats. But as I don't think flights will go, I think it will be very difficult to stop the boats without the strengthenings that I was supporting.
So it's not going to work, and you voted for it.
I hope it will work.
Of course you do.
Yeah.
Of course you do. Oh, that's classic that. But what I'm saying is he's got nothing. Like he's saying, I hope it works. I think they're going to use this in their next election to try and get a mandate in order to say, well, we couldn't stop the votes because the courts stopped us. Now we need the powers to change the courts, even though they have the power to change the courts. So it's gonna make no sense, and they're going to go to the public and say this.
I know you understand.
As they continue to do nothing to help people of this country. Genuinely, they've wasted so much time on this. And this display from Mogg is embarrassing because I think he voted for this bill, which he knows it's not going to work. It won't do as advertised. He got this from Tory's Coffee, not understanding what the capital of Rwanda is.
It's important to speak in this bill today. I have to say I was somewhat astonished by the speech of the shadow Home Secretary, who can't even get the name of the country right, talking about the Kigali government. We're talking about Rwanda.
Where is Kigali?
A respected country that has recently been president of the Commonwealth.
So the question is, where is Kigali? The answer is the capital of Rwanda. She said, I was asked something. The shadow Home Secretary cannot even get the name of the country right, talking about the Kigali government when we are talking about Rwanda. And she tried to put a statement out on Twitter saying, some keyboard snipers moaning that I criticised the opposition for referring to the Kigali government, not the Rwanda government. I would not call the French government the Paris government, nor the Scottish government the Edinburgh government. Why disrespect Rwanda when this is so stupid? This is genuinely, like, she got it wrong. And she's trying to backpedal really aggressively. It doesn't make sense, like I don't get it. Maybe she just didn't know. And it says here governments are routinely referred to their bases, Brussels, Washington, etc. So yeah, she just the people who run the community notes on Twitter are the absolute goats of the internet because they keep getting people. No one is safe. But we should be heading into good times according to this lady, who I don't know who she is, but the FT platformed her.
Ironically, I think the UK and it will appear to be by the end of the year, and Martin, I think you will disagree, but let's see. But by the end of the year, the UK is going to appear as one of the more stable countries because we essentially have gone through our era of populism. I'm not being...
I don't know who this Martin Geezer is, but I hope you disagreed because this is genuinely mental what she's saying here.
Complacent, we could have another wave, but we've gone through our populism, we had Brexit, and I think now we have essentially two parties sort of I think business can live with, and will probably be far less consequential.
So she's trying to argue that both the parties are kind of heading more towards the centre. When you've got Tory MPs putting out statements like this, international law is just going to have to take a back seat. Yeah, clearly feels like it's over. What we might see is just the Tories move further and further to the right. I don't know. The idea that they'll just move back to the centre, I'm not sure if they'll do that, especially if Labour seemingly keep pushing towards the centre and towards the centre right on certain issues. I am very nervous about where the Everton window goes in the UK. You got this absolute melt talking about international law is just going to have to take a back seat. Imagine if a dictatorship country said that, or imagine if Iran said this. There'd be outrage. But, for these guys to say it, it's just nonsense. We've got one final thing here, which is it appears that the Tory rebellion is now melting away, which I think it has done. These guys and gals have shown themselves to be absolute cowards. Only 11 of them voted against the bill. Which shows all of the big talk, all of the resignations, and 30p Lee, he wasn't about it. Simon Clarke was, but 30p Lee and all the other Tories who talked a big game showed themselves to be spineless. And that's it. At the end of the day, this lot have shown that they will vote for it. They'll vote. The majority of them will vote for the policies, despite them not being what they want. The Tory hardliners of yesteryear, Brexit hardman Steve Baker would have said, "Nah, we're voting against this. Not good enough." This lot, they're not about it. Because at the end of the day, I think they know that if they do collapse government, they're out of power. Under Theresa May, they didn't seem to care as much. But under this Sunak, under this kind of new Tory government, kind of Boris Johnson and, kind of after him, I think they know what their powers are worth, that they can pass whatever they want. And that this Rwanda bill is still way more than what Labour would have done in terms of crappy right-wing policies. But anyways, let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, support the channel on Patreon if you can, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.